Eva. How you doing? Today I'm channeling God to give guidance on how can you follow your own path. What is it that you can do to really follow the path that you are here to live, the path of your soul, the path of your spiritual self? How do we do that? How do you do that? Okay, I hand it over to God now. Take a little sip of my coffee as usual, if you watch my other videos. Okay, how you doing? This is God. How you doing? I want to say a very special thank you to Eva. Just going to be very open and honest for her. She's having a very difficult day. And the difficulty comes because she's finding it hard to follow her own path. And so this is why I'm making this video, because I know that there's a lot of people right now finding it very difficult to follow their own path. They feel like they have to follow the path of someone else. And so let me explain this in a very simple way. If you follow the path that is not yours, you're going to feel very weak. You're going to feel incredibly weak. You're going to feel that you have feelings that are inconsolable sometimes, especially when you're here to really have a very unique path. So it's always going to feel really shit if you're following someone else's path, and there's many ways you can do that. But when you have a really unique path, a very, very unique path, and you're following someone else's path, it's going to feel extra, extra hard. Okay, so I can say that the more unique your path is, the more you're going to feel that you have to follow your own path. And why would you follow anyone else's path? Well, let me tell you that if you're really living in a place where you don't know who you are, that you are still figuring things out, that you're kind of influenced by people, by energies, you know, that you've not yet really understood yourself, which is, you know, a lot of people. And that's why you're here doing this great work of understanding yourself. You're going to find that you're influenced by people. You're going to find that you're influenced by people a lot. And if you've had many lifetimes that you have not followed your own path, or if you have followed your path, it's been very, very difficult, you're going to find that those things come up again so that you can heal them. Because when you're really following your own path and you're not influenced by anyone, and you have a really strong sense of self, and you have a really strong sense of your own universe, which is, you know, the universe that you create. Yeah, you create your own universe if you have the experience of oneness with God, and you've consciously created the universe that you want to live in, a benevolent universe, hopefully, then you're going to experience your own thing, and you're going to be the one that influences the world around you. And if other people don't have their own kind of universe that they've consciously created, they're going to be influenced by you. So that's why you want it to be a really benevolent universe that you create, or co-create with God, with me. Then you really want to create it in a way where everyone wins. Because if you're the one who's going to influence a lot of people who haven't really set themselves up in their own universe, then you're going to be influencing them, and you want to make sure you're doing it in a way where they feel really good, and that they're encouraged to create their own universe as well, you know. And then when you have two people that have their really amazing benevolent universes co-created, they're going to just uplift each other and expand each other. Yeah, so you really want to be doing it from a place of, you know, a lot of light and a lot of conscious awareness. Okay. But if you haven't got to that point yet, and we're going to do a lot of videos on this, on how to really co-create your own universe and really get to the real sense of who you are. And the more, you know, the more Eva is able to co-create her universe, which we're really in such early stages of doing that. Yeah, it's really been from this week. So it's really painful sometimes when you're starting to co-create your universe, and then you start to see that there's still a part of you that isn't confident in that it still feels like you need someone else's approval to do it, because you've gone so many lifetimes where you've had to not feel okay about who you are or your spiritual path. Let me tell you, a lot of people have this issue because religion has been around for so long, and there's been so many lifetimes where it's like, if you're not following this religion, then you are not okay. We'll kill you. Yeah, so if you have a lot of trauma in your system, you're going to find that you're very much going to experience that as you create your life, as you follow your own path, that you're going to have any darkness reflected back to you. Anything that's unhealed or not brought to your attention, you're going to really have the world reflect back to you. Hey, you shouldn't be doing that, or your path is not good enough, or your path is not this. So really, whatever experience this week, which, I don't like to do too many videos to bring up any sort of her stuff because it's unhealed, but that's just, it's in a process of healing. So I bring it up when it's like this, but it's really so that it can help you if you're going through a similar situation. She had really a difficulty in expressing the fact that her own spiritual path is okay with someone who really was a spiritual teacher and who wanted her to live his spiritual path. Yeah, like do it my way. Do it my way. It's going to be much better because your way is not working. And again, if you have an ability to teach people how to have their spiritual path, you want to be really careful that you're not telling them to do it your way. Yeah. So, it doesn't make that person, wrong, but it really highlighted, a lot of pain in Eva, that she had to become aware of this instinct to not create her own path, that she has to get approval from other spiritual teachers because that's happened in so many lifetimes. So if you're watching this and you're finding it really difficult, like you're doing a spiritual path and maybe you're going to find that someone doesn't agree with it, because let me tell you, there's always going to be someone who doesn't agree with your path. And you're always going to have to, in the end, decide, I'm going to do my own spiritual path because that is what is required for me to live my best life. And if you feel like someone says, well, that's not the right spiritual path. That's just not, you're not doing it right. Because maybe you're not doing it like a religion, or you're not doing it in the way they would do it. You have to stick to your instincts and trust yourself in. And so how do you follow your own spiritual path? Well, number one, I feel that an awareness just that this can come up if you have something unhealed in you is very important. So if you just understand that if it's coming up, it's because something's unhealed in you. It's because maybe you have a core wound where you feel that you cannot live your own life. Because perhaps in this lifetime, you have borrowed other people's lives, other people's worlds. A lot of people create worlds, not universes. They create, a world. And I say universes when you have a higher power. Yeah, then you're creating a universe, and that higher power can either be light or it can be dark. Yeah, so you want to create a benevolent universe where just good things happen all the time. And when you haven't done that, you can very much borrow on other people's worlds, other people's universes, and rely on it. And especially, I want to say that forever, she was brought up in a very happy family with her mother and her father and her brother, and they had their worlds, so they have their worlds, and that world was held up by religion, by Judaism. And so then you're borrowing on a world of religion, and that's going to strengthen you. That's going to give you a sense that, much more strong. And so, really, she went through a lot. I'm talking about Eva, or I'm talking about, this is before awakening. She went through a life where she felt very, very strong, and then she went to university, and then you're borrowing on that world, and then you're like, I feel really strong again. I got a degree. And then she became a chartered accountant, and then she became a financial analyst, and then she's employed by these institutions that really make you feel like, wow, I'm really something. And at some point it all came crashing down, because when you borrow on other people's worlds to have strength, rather than you're going to awaken to who you really are, and actually you would never lean on any of these worlds, you would have your own spiritual path, your own path, then you're going to find that eventually they're exposed as a little bit like they're not universes that have the embodiment of God. They're not universes that have the embodiment of true power. They're borrowed. So when you've borrowed on a lot of people's worlds to get a sense of who you are and a sense of fake safety, you're going to find that eventually that all crumbles. And what I've done is I've taken away anyone's fake world, not anyone's fake world, but a lot of people that have wanted to really awaken, I have taken away their false sense of security. And I've done this for most people on the planet, where if they had a world that was not the right one for them, they weren't following their own path, they were borrowing on other people's ideas of what is right for their lives. And that could be religion, or that could be, a family. Then I've taken that away, and now a lot of people have no worlds, and so they feel very, very unprotected. But I want you to know that it's really so that you can become one with God, and remember that you are one with God, and you are a co-creator, and you can co-create your own universe that is based on the benevolent universe, and you can become a co-creator in your own right and create the life that is meant for you. So how do you really, do this, follow your own path? I feel like all of this awareness is going to help you a lot. Just being aware of the things that get in the way of understanding that you have an ability to create your own path and follow your own path. But if you don't know that, and you're wondering, well, why am I following other people's paths? It's really, you got used to it. You're most probably brought up in a family where you relied on their worlds, and then maybe it didn't quite work out. Maybe, like ever, your parents got divorced, or you just left the family, or whatever happened. Especially you woke up, maybe you felt a little bit like a black sheep, and you're like, I don't really belong there, or I don't belong to religion anymore, I don't belong to the profession that I chose when I was young. So it's very much important for you to know that maybe you borrowed other people's worlds, or maybe you don't have your own universe created yet. And so from that place, you can start adjusting to the idea of, oh, okay, I have my own universe to create. And if you have anything within you that says, I can't follow my own path, and then someone comes back and says, hey, you're not doing it the right way, it's really just, reflecting back to you that you have something within yourself that says, maybe I need permission, or I need approval, or I need someone else to approve of my way of being, or I need someone else to tell me how to do this. Maybe I don't believe in my spiritual path. Maybe I feel that my spiritual path should be dictated by someone else because I'm so used to following religion, etc., etc. So, when that's happening, you're going to have to just recommit to yourself. You're going to have to commit to who you are, your real deal self, and as a spiritual being, and commit to your own path, and just simply get on board with the idea that you have to come to a place where you're okay if people don't approve of your path. And then you're going to also see, this is a big one, you're going to have to be okay with other people's worlds that they have created, or their universes that they have created, and to stop trying to meddle in those worlds. To actually accept people's worlds, accept people's universes, because if it's happening to you, there's a good chance you've also been saying to other people, I don't approve of your spiritual path. Yeah, you should do it the way I think you should do it, or you should do it according to XY teacher, or you should do it according to XY guru. And actually, your birthright is to have spiritual freedom, is to have the freedom to do whatever you want. And really, whatever you want is really that you want to follow your spiritual self. Yeah, if you just do whatever the fuck, you're not going to feel very good. It's really about honoring your spiritual self and coming back to who you really are as a co-creator, as a spiritual being, and living out your best life. So it could be, if it's happening to you and you're on the receiving end of it, you get to feel, oh, it feels awful when that happens, when someone says, oh, you know, maybe you're not doing your spiritual journey right. It's really, maybe you're also judging other people's spiritual paths and journey. And I'll tell you why you're doing that. A lot of the time we want to meddle in how other people are doing something. We want to change them and say, maybe you can awaken in this way, or maybe you can awaken in that way, or maybe you can improve your life. You're trying to fix people, basically. And it's because you can't accept that maybe when you really create your own universe and your own life, it's going to be very different from what they've created. And so if you truly accept the differences, that they have a God-given right to create their world or their universe in whatever way they see fit, that, you know, of course, if it's completely out of alignment, it's not, you know, they're going to, in the end, have to awaken to it's not going to be a very strong world or universe. But you've got to be okay with the differences and be okay with maybe they don't belong in your life anymore. And that's why you're always trying to change people, because you want them to fit in with who you are, rather than accept who you are, accept who they are, and just be with, you know, have such a strong sense of self of who you are in your universe. And then you're going to meet the people who really are meant for you, rather than hang on to the ones who have worlds or universes that don't really choreograph with yours very well. And that's the crux, and that's why people get tripped up by this. So how can you follow your own path? Accept other people's paths will really benefit you. Accept your own path, and honestly just commit to yourself, commit to your own spiritual journey, commit to your path, and really be okay that you're always going to have someone who doesn't like it. And I'll just give you an example that, you know, I'm talking about Emma's divine name, birth name Emma. Emma was, you know, part of Judaism and religion, and actually she went to a very religious school. And when she got there, she wasn't actually religious, and she had to really conform to fit in with that school and fit in with that path. You know, and eventually she was able to become brainwashed and fit in very well with the religion. To an extent, she never quite fit. And then after she left school, she wasn't religious anymore. And so she no longer was really accepted by that religion. She never really was, you know, but it was very much that she became less and less acceptable the more she decided to turn to a spiritual path. And then she, you know, became very much infatuated with the witch community, and she'd only be with witches and only doing witch stuff, and only you know, only surrounding herself with witches and shamans. And so they very much accepted her, because she was conforming to their world, or their universe. But then the religion people didn't like her anymore, but the witch people did. And eventually she then started trying to conform to another world that wasn't about witchcraft, that was more about God, because the witchcraft didn't include much of God. And then so she conformed to the New Thought movement. And so now she was no longer in with the witches. The witches wouldn't have approved of her paths at all. And the religious people don't approve of her now. And now she's in a new community, but now she's thinking, well, this doesn't feel right for me. Like, this isn't actually like helping. I'm not able to like fully heal. So eventually Emma had to like say, you know what, I'm just going to go within and find my own path. And actually, then she had so much difficulty because no one's agreed. She's trying to be like, well, would they approve of this? Would everyone else, all these groups, approve of my path now? And the truth is, none of them would. So now it's been really, this week has been hard for her to say, you know, I have to just have my own spiritual path, and none of those old groups will really approve of it, and I have to be okay with that. Otherwise, I'm going to feel really sad and really depressed, because I have a very unique path and I have to live it. And I have to live, there's no other option. I have to live my own path. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let me know. We'd love to know what you're going through. And lots of love to you. And follow your heart, follow your soul, follow your own path.